15 years ago, the NDP came into power, ousting the Tories and Gary Filmon in 1999 in what would begin as a decade and a half, and counting, in power. An impressive feat, explains political analyst and author Chris Adams.
This NDP government, elected in 1999, they've had multiple re-elections. In fact, it'd be difficult to find any party being re-elected so often with a majority. Now we see long stretches of time in which governments are re-elected, but often with a minority somewhere in that mix. This is a majority victory every election since 1999.
We had Gary Doer as the newly elected premier and Greg Selinger as finance minister. And at the same time, a golden era for Manitoba in terms of finances and economic growth, explained Adams.
As Gary Doer was very lucky to be the premier as the economy was suddenly picking up. Right. Gary Filmon didn't have that, but Gary Doer had that. As the economy is picking up, there's more money, there's more federal transfers from Ottawa, there's more, the businesses are doing better in Manitoba, there's more tax revenues and all those sorts of things. There's more ability to sell Manitoba hydro power to the United States. The economy is starting to click across North America, and he's able to ride that wave.
It was a time in which economist Michael Benarroch says the NDP began shifting more towards the middle, with cuts to small business tax and a better indexing of our property taxes.
It has been an interesting 15 years. At times the party governed like you would expect an NDP party to govern, in terms of relying on spending and taxes and government playing a big role, and at other times it's behaved very, very differently than that, and more like, certainly liberal, but sometimes conservative.
However, while increased spending was happening in healthcare and education, opposition leader Brian Pallister looks at those golden years as a series of missed opportunities for the NDP.
That was a wonderful opportunity, too, for governments, because they had more money to spend and to provide the services Manitobans need. This robust growth, this excellent decline in the interest rates was combined by the highest increase in transfers from the federal government in the history of Manitoba. Now, that's the great trifecta. I mean, you don't get better than that as an opportunity to strengthen the economy and to bolster services like healthcare and education. And the NDP failed. They failed miserably, in fact.
Meanwhile, Premier Greg Selinger said this week that at that time they were spending money where it mattered most: education.
It got more difficult after the initial stimulus program started to wind down, because we saw some very significant differences across the country, for example, on transfers. Manitoba got flatlined, and then we lost additional resources due to population issues in terms of how they count them. But our approach has always been to put a big emphasis on finding ways to continue to grow the economy.